Alright, so again, remember, I'm going to be showing you some things today that I did not necessarily show you in class because obviously I want you to learn the concept and not tricks to help you answer questions on a test. So question number 1, it says which choice is y not a function of x? So in order to know if it is not a function of x, you have to know a couple things. The first thing that you need to know is that all, can you see that? Nope, you cannot. All x's have their own value. Okay, so what this means, looking at these two options, so this is my x, this is my x, this is my x in this one, and then this is my x, this is my x, this is my x. Your x cannot repeat. Okay, so if they all have their own value, this means x's can't repeat. So knowing that my x can't repeat, do I know which one is not a function of y?
Yes.
Okay, raise your hand. Which one is not a function of y?
The left one.
The left one. All right, so the reasons being, obviously the easiest one, your x's repeat. And then the second one, it won't pass that vertical line test. So a way long time ago, when we started functions, we did this thing where I gave you a sheet and it had lines on it, and you had to do what? To like see if it passed the vertical line test.
Put lines in the line.
Right, so draw lines. And what happens if it didn't, like how do we know if it didn't pass?
Then isn't the line passed through it twice?
Right, if it passed through it twice. So if you graphed, and this is why I said if you want graph paper, you can definitely use it. If you graphed, 0, 3, 0, 5, 0, 8, what kind of line do you get? What kind of line do you get, Audrey?
Straight line.
Straight line. All right, so therefore, this would not pass the vertical line test. So you have two options tomorrow. When I say go ahead, get started with your test, I'll give you the option for a piece of graph paper. If you know nothing, y'all, graph paper, where's my graph paper at? You can take this piece of graph paper, you can fold it into 4s, you can make 4 graphs and answer almost every single question on this test by graphing your points. So if you know nothing other than how to graph, you can still pass your mid-assessment tomorrow. Okay? All right, so the correct answer for this one is that. And the reasons are because all the x's repeat, they're all zeros, and that it wouldn't pass that vertical line test. Okay, so please make sure you have this information written down.
I thought it was blind.
Huh?
I thought it said blind.
It did. But the reason it's not a function is because all of your x's are the same. All right, thumbs up if you're ready to move on. All right, question number 2, it says, which choice is y a linear function of x? All right, so we talked about this a little bit. First and foremost, what is our equation to know for a linear function? What's that equation that we learned a long time ago? Nevaeh?
Y equals mx plus b.
So y equals mx plus b. So this is the format for a linear function. So some things that it cannot have in order for it to be a linear function. So I'm going to put it over here. It can't have a couple of things. What's one thing that it cannot have? And you guys should remember at least one thing. What is one thing based off of our formula that it cannot have? Brayden?
Exponent.
Yes. So it can't have an exponent. If it has an exponent, it's going to be a graph that looks like this or like this, okay? We want straight lines. Those are not straight lines, okay? So it cannot have an exponent. So knowing that it can't have an exponent, can we eliminate two of our answer choices right now? Yes, raise your hand. Tell me one. Tell me one of the two that we can eliminate right now. Richard.
Y equals x to the second power minus 9.
Right, so that one is gone because it's got a exponent right here. Okay, so that one's gone. We cannot, that will not work. All right, can we get rid of another one? Jeffrey.
Y equals 5x to the 6th power plus 2.
And why can we get rid of that one? Because it's got this exponent right here. Okay, so those two are gone. So right now, you now have a 50-50 chance of getting this question right. The other thing, you can't divide by x. So it cannot be a number divided by x. So if x is on the bottom, and we know that it's not a fraction because it's got a variable, you cannot divide by x. All right, so of the two that are left, which one can I get rid of? Of the two that are left, which one can I get rid of? Soraya.
Y divided, like the one divided by 2.
Right. So this one. So y equals 2 divided by x plus 5 because it's dividing by x. Now, why is this one okay? Why is that one okay? Like, why is this one the right answer? Jasmine.
Because it doesn't have any exponents and you can't divide by that.
Okay, so one doesn't have exponents, but it's got a fraction. So shouldn't we eliminate it? Why not? Brayden.
Because it's still a number and all of the rules of the equation is supposed to be
Right. So technically, what operation is going on between your 1/4 and your x?
multiplication.
Yes. All right. So please make sure you have this information written down because this will help you tomorrow. Sebastian, I know you ain't sleeping. Do you need to go to the nurse? Are you sure? Okay. All right. So please make sure you have this written down and then just a couple of different notes on your paper so that you, again, when you study tonight, don't tell me you're not going to, just let me think you are. When you study tonight, you have this information to review. All right, go to question number 3. All right, so this question says, what is the slope? If you guys miss these questions tomorrow where you are simply counting your rise over your run, I am probably going to kick you out of my class and send you back to 8th grade. Because there is no reason, if nothing else, if you pass nothing else tomorrow, please pass these. These are the easiest questions in the entire world. All right? You are finding a point that falls, as Brayden said, on the corner. So this is a no-go. That does not work. Why? Why is that one not a point that we are going to use? Jeffrey?
Because it doesn't line up.
It does not line up. All right? So this is one point. And then this is going to be another point. And then you're just finding the rise over the run. Your rise is your y, your run is your x. Now, how do I know that this is going to be a positive slope? How do I know? How do I know this is a positive slope? Jeffrey?
Because it starts at the left and ends at the top right.
Right, so it starts in the bottom left. And then it ends in top right. So it is going up, which means it is a positive slope. I can't even spell. Slope, good Lord. This means it is a positive slope because it is going up. All right, so our rise is 1, 2, 3, and our run is 2. So the slope for this is 3 to 2. Yes.
Like, what if there's multiple spots that line up?
You can pick any two that line up and you will still get the same. How? Okay. So like if this one it doesn't show any other ones, but like if you're
This one.
no, it's not. There's no other ones that line up at the corner. All right, come show me one that lines up at the corner.
It's the top one. You can't use the ends, right?
I mean, you can use the ends. So you're saying this one right here?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I want you to find the rise. So this is my rise. How many is that?
You can't skip one either.
No. How many is that? So 1, 2, 3. And my run is what? So is it still?
What if you went down to like the other one there? You can't do that.
You can't skip it.
What do you mean go down to the other one?
That's where the other three.
Where?
He's talking about the other dot. Like he's talking about skipping the middle dot.
Why would you? I mean, you can do that, but then you have to simplify because then you would get what, 6 to 4? When I divide that by 2, I still get 3 to 2. You can go as far and wide as you want, as long as the 2 dots are in the corners. And you remember, you have to simplify your slope. So no matter what point, as long as it falls at the corner on that line of 2 points, you find your rise, your run. If you have to simplify it, simplify it. Don't make it more complicated. Like legit, just count together. Write your y, write your x. That's it. Make sense? You sure? Okay. All right. Again, please make sure you get the notes on this page so that you have them when you are reviewing. Why do you have your iPad open? There's nothing on the iPad that's going to help you at this point in time. Everybody good? Okay. All right, number 4. So this again. And guys, these questions are almost identical to the questions you're going to see on your test tomorrow, minus the numbers are probably going to be different, or the graph might be a little bit different. All right, so someone tell me a point that we can use on this one. So give me 1 point. Jeffrey.
Positive 1 and negative 4.
So +1, -4. Okay. All right, what's another one? Ariana.
-1, +3.
-1, +3. All right, so before we get started with this one of finding the slope and whatnot, is this a positive slope? I'm sorry, is this a positive line or is this a negative line? Ellie,
Negative.
how do you know?
It's going to start off at the top and end with one.
So it starts here and it ends down here. Okay? Why is it important to know that this is a negative line? Like, why is that going to help you when you're trying to find your slope? Brayden?
Because if there's not a negative sign in it, it's wrong.
Right. If there's not a negative sign in this, then you know it is wrong. All right, so I'm going to go. All right, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So my rise is -7, and my run is 2. So the slope for this one is -7, 2. All right, questions about that one? Are these a little bit easier now? Okay. All right, going on to number 5. Again, what is the slope of this line? So raise your hand and tell me 1 point. So tell me a point. Ben. -3, +1. Okay. What is another point? What's another point that intersects in the corner of my X and my Y? Ariana. +2, -3. All right. What do we notice about this line? Brayden?
It's going to be a negative
So my slope is negative. How do I know?
because it starts at the top and goes towards the bottom.
So it starts here, ends here. All right, so then I'm going to find my rise, my run, So what is my rise? What's the rise?
-4.
It's going to be -4. And then my run,
6.
5. 5.
it's going to be 5. So my slope equals -4, 5. And it'll be easier on your iPad, obviously, tomorrow because you'll be able to like zoom in, zoom out, count. I know it's a little bit harder on the smaller problems. All right, questions about slope on a graph? Questions about rise over run? We're good? All right. Number 6. What's the slope? Audrey,
Positive.
it's going to be a positive. And how do you know?
Because it's going up.
All right, so it's going up, obviously. All right, and then what are 2 points on this line? Anthony, what are 2 points on this line?
Over 5 up 2.
4, 5 up 2? What?
Positive 5 up.
Positive 5 up, okay. And what's another one?
Positive 10, positive 4.
Yes. All right, and then what is my rise? What is my run? So how many am I rising? Jeffrey? 2. And how many am I going to the right? 5. All right, so my slope is 2 to 5. All right, questions? All right, number 7. So this question is asking which equation is not linear. All right, and I believe on your test tomorrow, this is going to be a drag and drop. Hold on, let me check. No, this is just multiple choice. So what are the things that make a line not linear? If you need, look back, I think it was question 1 where we wrote some notes. Or question 2. All right, give me one thing, Raiden.
If it's not a straight line.
Well, how do we know? Because at this moment in time, we just have equations. But there were some notes that we took that told us, like, what makes an equation linear, what makes an equation not linear. So what was one of those? Was it question 2, I think.
Can't have an exponent.
Okay, so it can't have an exponent. And if it has an exponent, the graph is going to look like this, or like this. Okay, what else can it not have? Why is this blurry? Ryan.
Can't divide by x.
Okay. Which means a number over x. Okay, so knowing those 2 things, which equation is not linear up here?
Y equals x over 4 plus 8. Because you're like,
Are you sure?
actually no. Y equals 1 over x minus 3.
Is the only reason you picked that because that's the one I was going to circle? Because that's the one I thought you were going to say?
No, yeah, that's the one I'm picking because it's the easiest looking one.
It's the easiest looking one?
It's like the most obvious one.
Okay. Do not get confused with this one. This is a division one, and it can be division, but what can it not be divided by? Cannot be divided by x, and that's what you guys have to be careful with. So if the x is on top of the division, that is fine. If the x is on the bottom, that is not okay. Yes?
Why is it the y equals x plus x1? Why isn't that not
because that's what it becomes. You're not multiplying those, so it doesn't become an exponent. Yep, good question. So this just simply becomes y equals 2x minus 9. Okay? All right, any other questions about why these are or not? Okay, we ready to move on?
Almost six.
Huh? All right, number 8. Now, number 8, there are a couple ways that we can figure this out. How many of you guys remember this? The y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We did it, it was the whole lot of questions. But we talked about it briefly. So you can do that this way. And I'm going to show you. Are you sure you don't need to go to the nurse? You are starting to drool on my chair. I saw a little glisten over there. So you can do it this way. The way you would do this is you would use, and I'm going to highlight just because, you would use these top two numbers. So you would label this as x1, y1, x2, y2. And you would plug those numbers in here. So this would then become -5.5 minus -3. And then this would be, sorry, I totally wrote the wrong number. Just kidding. That's why you guys use pencils. Sorry, so it would become -2.5 minus -5.5. Because I'm taking my y2 and my y1. Then it's going to be -1 minus -3. What do we do with these two negatives? They become positive. So then this becomes, this is my slope, by the way. All right, so this becomes, what's -2.5 plus 5.5? So 5.5 minus 2.5 gives you 3, right? I mean, last time I checked anyways. My math could be very wrong. All right, and then 3 minus 1, or -1 plus 3, becomes what? 2. So this is essentially our slope. Okay? So that is the way that we would love as math teachers for you to do it. There's a much easier way because it's a table, right? So how do I go from here to here? What do I do? We're gonna think before we call out. So if I go from -3 to a -1, what am I doing? I'm gonna add 2. All right, if I go from a -5 to a -2.5, sorry, -5.5 to -2.5, so I do a +3. But then it's like, well, Miss Kinney, how do we figure out the rest? Because remember, again, in our notebooks, this beautiful page of notes that y'all took. This page, right? This one? Oh, you mean this one with all the tables on it? What did we do that made this page super easy with our tables? We are finding the rate of change. So as long as it changes this way all the way down, it works, right? Okay, I have a question. This goes from -1 to 5. How do I know if my rate of change is correct? What do I need to do? What? So I'm going to technically skip this one. That's where I want to end. I'm going to skip it for now. And what if I added 2 to -1? What do I get? So 2 to -1, what do I get? +1, right? What if I added 3 to a -2.5? What do I get? +1.5. So what if I add another 2? What's 2 plus 1? 3. What's another one if I added 2? 5. Isn't that where I was supposed to get?
Yes.
Okay, so then what if I added a 3? What's 3 plus 1.5? 4.5. And what's 4.5 plus 3?
7.5.
No, I did my math wrong then. This should be half, sorry. That should be 3. This should be 6.5. Sorry. The correct math is right here, okay? Just leave me alone. It's been a long day. But my point is, you can do this if you want. Or if you're given a table, you can also just find the slope this way.
The easy way.
The easy way. Exactly.
How would you do the hard way?
Because mathematically, that's what you need to know for next year. Like, you need to understand this, but honestly, I showed you this in class and I never really, other than a very small amount, I exposed you to it because it's stupid. If you want me to be honest, like, why?
Well, you can just do that.
Right.
I didn't know I needed to use that to count how many groceries. But is that option still like available next year, like the table? Can I still use the table?
If you have a table, I recommend this.
Or can I just draw a table?
Sometimes. You'll see, because we're going to come across a question where you don't have a table and you don't have that option. All right. Question. Are there any questions with number 8? Are you sure?
Yes.
My advice, use the table. If you have it, use it. Okay? Like, if you have the ability to add some extra things, even again, if you're on your piece of paper that you're showing your work, draw a table, add in those extra numbers. All right, got a question 9. So this is the one that is the drag and the drop. So on your test tomorrow, you have to figure out which one is linear and which ones are nonlinear. So again, raise your hand and tell me. We need to know our formula. So what is our formula? Someone other than Ariana and Nevaeh and Jeffrey and Ben, what's our formula? Y equals mx plus b. So that is the first thing that we are looking for. Do we see any up here? No, we don't, because we can't see. Do we see any up here that fall in the y equals mx plus b? Nevaeh, or Ellie, will you turn on one of the light switches? Thank you. All right, so which one falls into the y equals mx plus b? I hate this thing. Jeffrey.
Y equals 4x plus 2.
So y equals 4x plus 2. So this is linear. And why is it linear? Why is it linear? Yes, because it follows the rule of the y equals mx plus b. All right, what is another one? Someone other than Ariana. Ben.
Y equals 1/4 x plus 8
Okay. And why is it linear?
because it follows the equation.
Falls into the equation of the rules. All right. So how do we know if it is not linear? Those are the things that we need. Nevaeh.
If that's the exponent or if it's dividing by x.
All right, so if it has an exponent or it's dividing by x. So do either one of those in the top fall into that? Ellie, which one?
And then y equals 7x to the power of 2.
Okay, so this is nonlinear. Now the one on the right, y equals x divided by 4. Is that linear or nonlinear? What do you think, Cam? Why?
Because it doesn't have to go, like the B part, it doesn't have
Okay, so I understand what you're saying. I do have a question though. Where's your x? Is it in the numerator or the denominator? So technically, could this be right?
Yeah.
Yes. This is actually linear. And this is linear because of the location of the x. So even though it doesn't have, and you're right, it doesn't have the plus or the minus b. And they put that on there because a lot of you guys are going to say, well, it doesn't have plus or minus b, so then it can't be linear. That's not true. This is a linear equation right here. Okay, so please make sure you guys get that down. All right, everybody have this? All right, number 10. So Brayden, you were asking, can you use the table? This is one you cannot use the table on. This is one that you have to use the y2 minus y1.
Draw a graph, dude.
You can draw a graph.
That's
Like-
what I was doing.
Yeah, I mean, you can if you want. And this is why, honestly, guys, asking for a piece of graph paper and graphing your points, if you're good at graphing, I don't have a problem with it. Okay? So if you wanted to graph this one, you absolutely can. We are going to practice this lovely equation. All right, so this is x1, this is y1, this is x2, y2. So please make sure you are copying this down so that you have this for tomorrow. All right, so what two numbers are we going to put on the top? What two numbers are we putting on the top? Brielle?
3 and 4.
Give me the order that they need to go.
4 and 3.
Okay, so 4 minus 3. All right, and then what two numbers are going on the bottom? Neve.
-5 minus -4.
Okay, and we know that we're going to do keep, change with that one. So what is 4 minus 3? 1. And what is -5 plus 4? -1. So this becomes what? This becomes a -1. How'd your graph work out?
That's easier. Like, that's easier than on the graph.
So what if you had graph paper?
Yeah, I can still do it. It just would take longer.
Okay. All right.
That's better though, because it's shorter.
Okay. So again, if you do not understand this, you are absolutely welcome to graph your line and figure it out that way. If you understand this, I recommend you start using it. All right, questions about this one? We're good?
Could you just make a table?
You can't necessarily, again, if you make a table, you have to draw a graph. Because yes, you can put these 2 points in, but then you have to, kind of do what we did with the last one. So you have multiple options. You have this option, you have a table, you have a graph. I want you to use whatever makes the most sense to you. So you have 3 different things to do to solve this problem. Does that make sense? So Bash, I want you to use, that's fine. I mean, if that works and that makes sense to you, that's what I want you to use. Okay? And again, you guys will have graph paper available tomorrow when you're taking your test if you want to use graph paper. All right, number 11. Raise your hand and tell me, how do we find slope on a table? What do we do? How do we find slope on a table? Bash.
See how much they go up or down.
Okay.
X would be +1.
Does it have to change the same all the way down? Like, does it have to keep going as +1?
Yes.
Okay. If it doesn't go as +1, then you know that it is not a linear line. All right?
And then on the other side, go AB, divide or subtract 2. All the way down.
Okay? So now, you need to make sure that you put it in the correct order, though. We're so used to doing x first, y second. Don't get confused. You need to make sure that you put this y first, x second, which then becomes what?
Negative 2.
So your slope for this one equals -2. All right, number 12. So you have to figure out which equation goes with this graph. Again, there's multiple different ways that you can go about solving this problem. The very first thing that I would do is I would identify the type of graph. Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it 0? Or is it undefined? So looking at the graph or looking at the line without finding anything else, is it a positive line, negative line, 0, or undefined? Ben? It's a positive slope. So my slope equals positive. So knowing that, can I get rid of some answer choices? Knowing that this is a positive slope. Jeffrey, which 2 can I get rid of?
It's going to right.
Yeah, so I can get rid of both of those because they're both what?
Negative.
They're both negative slopes. All right, then I need to find the rise and I need to find my run. So it's 1 to 3. So knowing that my slope is 1 to 3, do I know my answer? Those of you who are sitting and not doing anything, I'm really confused. Like, we are literally going over your test that you are going to take tomorrow, and I see people not doing anything. Mind blowing. Which one is our answer?
The y
Based off of what our slope is, which one is our answer? Nevaeh.
equals 1/3 x.
Y equals 1/3 x. Sorry, forgot to put that. I would find if it's a positive or negative line first, and then go from there. All right, number 13. So number 13 is similar to some of your Delta Math that you have this week because it's got this extra +2 on it. Okay, so the +2, this is your y-intercept. And your y-intercept is where your line intersects the y-axis. Okay? So looking at our y-axis, where does our line intersect it? Soraya, stand up. So where does our line intersect our y-axis? So the y-axis is right here. So what number does it intersect it at? So 2 people see? 3 people see? Ryan, where does it intersect it at?
2.
2. So this is a plus 2. So that is where they get the plus 2. So your y-intercept is where your line intersects your y-axis. Hence the name the y-intercept. Okay? We haven't technically talked about this yet, but I feel confident enough. There's one question on your test tomorrow. Knowing this, I feel like you guys will be fine with that. Everything else is exactly what we've learned though. So then we have to find, we have to, I can't even talk. Eliminate if it's positive or negative. All right, so what kind of line is this?
Positive.
It's a positive. And we know it's positive because why? Yeah, because it's going up. All right, so which 2 can we get rid of since we know? So which one? 2 on the right. So these 2 are gone. And why are they gone? Because they are negative.
So maybe the top one.
Huh?
The top one.
How do you know? So here's my rise. Here's my run. So what is my rise? So this is very similar to the question you asked me originally, like, can you skip one? Like where it intersects in the corner, right? So you can, because technically it intersects right here too. So we rise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we run 2. Obviously we don't see 6 to 2, so you have to simplify it, which becomes 3. Okay, does that answer your question from earlier, which you cannot see anymore? I hate this stupid thing. So that is your answer for that one. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit, make sure you guys get all the information on this one. Vash, you can go to the bathroom. Oh, okay. All right. Thumbs up when you're ready to move on from this question. I just want to make sure you guys, because like I said, this is going to be probably the hardest question that you have on your test tomorrow, is number 13. And it should fall on your 13 as well.
Oh, I still don't understand where the plus 2 comes from. I don't understand that.
So it intersects the y-axis right there. So it's plus 2.
Oh, all right, I see it. I see
Yeah.
it.
So it's wherever that line crosses the x-axis or the y-axis.
Yeah, because, yeah, all right.
All right, number 14. You're finding the rise over the run. So what is my rise? What's my rise? Brayden.
Plus 2. Right.
For the x.
This one.
Okay. And you feel that way all the way down?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then what's the y?
Minus 3. All the way down.
So then my slope becomes what's my slope?
Negative 3 over 2.
Okay, good job. Anybody need that one? Fred? All right, number 15 is 100% a vertical line test.
So it would just be the last one.
Huh?
It would be the last one.
So, and again, the vertical line test is if you draw lines that are going vertical and it intersects the line more than once, it's not, right? So this is a no. This is not a function. Okay? What about this one? Is that a function?
Yes.
Yes, it is. It's a function because why?
It only crosses once.
It only crosses it once. Where here, it crossed it here and here. This one, even though it's not a straight line, It only crosses one time, no matter where I put my line at. And you can't see it again. I despise.
Oh no.
Sorry. You're not gonna focus. All right, the one on the bottom right corner is obviously yes. Now, let's talk about the one right here.
Yes.
So stand up if you think that this is a yes. Okay. Stand up if you think this is a no. And stand up if you're not sure. Because you're allowed to not be sure. All right, so doing a vertical line test, I'm going to use a piece of paper because it's a little bit easier to see. So as we're going across this graph, if I drew a line right here, would I intersect this line more than once?
No.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
It goes straight down.
It's a straight down, it's a vertical undefined line. So therefore, undefined cannot be what?
A function.
It can't be a function. Cannot. So even though here it only crosses once, if the line is vertical, it is not going to work. Because you're doing vertical lines, right? Huh?
But there's something going through at once.
But it's so here with this one, it went through one time. Because it's just a straight line all the way across. But this one, it's going vertical. So you're going to intersect it more than once. Because it's a vertical line. Again, if you get out this notebook, this really cool notebook that we had. Where's that vertical line test paper? Oh, this one. Remember this one? Yes. So this one. Telling you, it's all in there. All right, please make sure you guys look over your notes.